Hi all, welcome to this biology video about circulatory system. This video is very much aimed at GCSE students, and what we'll be going through is the need for a circulatory system, how the heart works, and some of the blood vessels involved. Let's first think about why do we actually need a circulatory system. So all organisms need oxygen and glucose for aerobic respiration. Small organisms like bacteria, such as the one on the left, which is a single cellular organism, can rely purely on diffusion in and out of its environment to get the oxygen and glucose it needs to respire and to remove any waste products. Because it's a single cell organism, the diffusion distance is short, so diffusion can happen fast enough for this to work. However, in a multicellular organism, to get in from the outside all the way to the inside to the middle of these cells would take too long. So therefore, because it would take too long and be too slow to reach the cells in the center of the body, you have to have a mass transport system. So organisms such as mammals and multicellular organisms have a mass transport system, such as a circulatory system, to deliver oxygen and glucose to the body, and it also allows those cells that are respiring to remove carbon dioxide and water. So thinking about circulatory systems, there are actually two types. There's a single circulatory system and a double circulatory system. So a single circulatory system, like the one on the left here, that basically has one loop where you go from whatever is providing the oxygen, gas exchange, to the rest of the body, to the heart, that's the pump. So it goes through the circuit once, which is why it's called a single circulatory system. The double circulatory system goes through two separate circuits. So one circuit to pick up oxygen and remove carbon dioxide, and the other circuit to get to the rest of the body of the oxygenated blood. We will be focusing on the double circulatory system in this video, and looking at now how the heart works but consider the pump to be basically the same. So let's now consider some of the blood vessels before we get to the heart itself. So you've got three different blood vessels: your arteries, your veins, your capillaries. Your arteries' job is to take blood away from the heart to the various organs of the body. They need to cope with high pressure. So because of that, they have these really thick muscular walls and they contain lots of elastic tissue. They have a small lumen as well, and this helps to maintain that high pressure as the blood goes away from the heart. Then you come to capillaries. Capillaries are really, really thin, and these things connect the arteries to the veins and run through your tissues. So what happens is substances move out of the blood into the tissues in something called tissue fluid, which you'll learn about when you go further forward through A-level biology. You've got small holes in them called pores, and this enables the exchange of surfaces. And the walls are just one cell thick, so this reduces the diffusion distance of these substances. But once blood's passed through the capillaries, it gets to the veins, and the job of the veins is to carry blood back to the heart. So blood is flowing at much lower pressure. So that's why veins generally have a much larger lumen and much thinner walls containing little elastic tissue and muscle fibers. You've also in veins got valves, and the job of a valve is to stop blood flowing backwards. And look a bit more about that when we do the heart soon. The contraction of nearby body muscles also helps blood to flow back to the heart from the vein. So remember, you've generally got oxygenated blood coming from the heart in arteries, going to the capillaries, going into the tissues for this thing called tissue fluid, back into the veins to deoxygenated to return back to the heart. The only artery and vein which is different is a pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. The pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood. The pulmonary vein contains oxygenated blood because that's the side of the heart which goes to the lung to pick up oxygen. So that now brings us to the heart itself. Now, the heart itself is made up in a double circulatory system of four chambers divided into two sides. Interestingly, as we look at the picture, the right side as we look at it is actually the left side of the heart, and left side as we look at it is actually the right side of the heart. So the job of the left side is thicker. That's how you can basically tell which side of the heart is which, because the left side of the heart has to get oxygenated blood to the rest of the body, whereas the right side of the heart is trying to get the blood oxygen from the lungs. So it's got a shorter distance to go. That's why if you look at these walls here, they're actually considerably thicker on the left side than the right side. Okay. The heart itself is split into four separate chambers. You've got the two atria at the top and the two ventricles at the bottom. Now, the atria's job is to basically take the blood from either the pulmonary vein or the vena cava, depending on which side of the heart we're talking about, and it passes blood to the atrium. That's why if you look at the walls of the atria, here and here, they're actually much thinner than the walls of the ventricles. The job of the ventricle is take this blood as it comes in and pump it out through the pulmonary artery if it's going to the lungs to be oxygenated, or out through the aorta to the rest of the body. You'll also notice these things here, these valves. So the job of the valve, as I said to you in veins, is to prevent blood flowing backwards. That's the same as what happens here. So if blood is coming in through the left atrium to the left ventricle, what happens is it forces the valve to open, and as then the ventricle starts to push the blood out, this valve closes. Therefore, blood cannot flow back into the atria, so blood flows one way around the heart. So as I said to you before, the job of the right side of the heart, the right atria, right ventricle, is to take blood to deoxygenated blood to the lungs to pick up oxygen. Then that's returned to the heart via the pulmonary vein, and it goes through the left atrium, through the left atrium ventricle, out through the aorta to the rest of the body to provide oxygenated blood to your tissues. And finally, the heart itself, uniform is a muscle, so therefore it needs its own blood supply. That's where these little vessels, as you can see here, these are your little coronary arteries, and the job of them is to provide oxygenated blood to the heart. If these little vessels, little arteries get blocked, that can lead to a heart attack, because a blockage would mean there's no oxygen getting to those muscle cells would die, which is a myocardial infarction. I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, pop in the comments below. Thank you very much for listening.